Well, with unpredictable rainfall and volatile market prices, Oklahoma's ag producers continue to plan for the worst, yet hope for the best. Joining me now is our Andy Barth.
Well, Rob, the agricultural industry is never the same 2 days in a row. And with summer rains putting a dent in the drought in much of the state, agriculturalists look to the year ahead to see how production will play out.
It was a year of highs and lows for Oklahoma agriculture. No rain, and then a late hard freeze left wheat producers struggling to even harvest a crop.
We're a dollar below the average price, with our stocks probably running about 2/3 of what they normally do. And that just doesn't make economic sense.
Kim Anderson is an ag economist at Oklahoma State University and says while U.S. wheat production fell, the rest of the world had a bumper crop.
And what we've seen in the world is the crops increasing in just about every other country. We're harvesting a record world crop now, and world stocks, wheat stocks, are increasing.
And Anderson says while he doesn't expect the price of wheat to increase anytime soon, as long as wheat is produced, it's good for the state.
I think low prices with a lot of product to sell is better than high prices and not much product to sell.
And despite a tough wheat crop, Oklahoma's agricultural industry is seeing the highest cattle prices in history. Oklahoma State University's Darrell Peel.
We have record high prices pretty much across the board, or we're very near that. We've got the lightweight calf prices in Oklahoma at the highest levels we've ever seen. We've seen a tremendous increase in these cattle prices in the last year.
And Peel says prices aren't slowing down.
This is a hard thing for a market analyst to say. We're at record high prices. We've had this tremendous run up this year, and yet I still think 2015 and probably 2016 prices will average somewhat higher.
And whether it's low prices or high, Secretary of Agriculture Jim Reese says it's time to look toward the future.
Every year creates new challenges, but farmers and ranchers are just naturally optimistic. You know, no matter what next year throws at us, I'm sure that we'll survive.
And Reese says the low prices and bad weather conditions have better prepared producers for the coming years.
You know, producers have really made themselves more flexible over the last 4 years because they've learned things that they've had to do to make it through. The drought in 2011 was really difficult to get through, but I think all of our producers are going to be stronger for it.
Now, aside from a tough wheat crop, producers harvested high-quality summer crops, and cattle producers had good grass to graze on. And Rob, all of this is thanks to great rain at the right time.
Now, Andy, if my memory serves me, it was 2011 that the drought caused a fairly substantial sell-off of cattle that many had feared would really change the very nature of Oklahoma's cattle industry.
That's right, Rob. 2011 took a direct hit when it comes to cattle numbers, and those low cattle numbers in turn have created record high prices. And those cattle producers, they're making a comeback. Let's take a look.
It's working time at Double C Ranch. And for owner Chuck Coffey, there is a lot fewer cattle to work with.
We went from about 800 cows down to about 450.
The drought in 2011 forced most cattle ranchers to sell most of their herds, while some had to sell out completely. Yet, thanks to some moisture, producers like Coffey are back in production.
We kept buying cows in hopes that things would get a little bit better and we would catch some rain. Then things started improving and we were able to increase our cow herd back up to numbers that we would like to maintain.
Yet these low cattle numbers are also affecting consumers. The price of a pound of hamburger is currently around $3.39. That's 56% higher than it was in 2010. And according to Wells Fargo economist Michael Swanson, the rise in beef prices could cause lower beef consumption.
When you have 15-20% year-over-year inflation at the consumer level, when they're seeing 2% pay raises, they have to choose to consume less of what you're selling them.
And while U.S. beef numbers are expected to come back, Swanson says producers must be cautious not to lose their customers.
We have to be careful that we don't chase out future demand, so when we get more cattle, have more beef, the people are so accustomed to eating chicken and pork, they don't come back to us.
And producers like Coffey are working to bring back the beef. Coffey purchased a new ranch with more land, creating opportunity for growth.
We've essentially doubled production, or been able to do so within the last year, and work closely with the banks to be able to do that. You know, we're highly leveraged at this point in time, but we're very optimistic with the future of the cow-calf industry.
Now, Andy, I understand the Double C has some big plans for the future.
They really do, Rob. Coffee is so optimistic about the future of the cattle industry that his 3 children all have part ownership in the company, and when he and his wife retire, the 3 kids are going to take it over.
That's always good to hear. Thanks so much, Andy.
You're welcome, Rob.